Hello and welcome to In the Weeds. We're recording live from the Picky Weedz Esoteric Occult Boutique, located just south of Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, in beautiful South Abington Township. Picky Weedz is the largest and most diverse boutique of its kind in Northeast Pennsylvania, with an increasingly wide variety of items for many traditions.
In addition to items for sale, Picky Weedz hosts a wide variety of classes, events, and community-driven gatherings throughout the year. Picky Weedz is located at 105 Layton Road, South Abington Township, PA. Open Wednesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. More information can be found at www.pickyweedz.com. That's PICKEYWEEDZ.com, or on our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. In the Weeds is the official podcast for Picky Weedz, where we strive to bring the community together with topics of interest, guest speakers, and informative discussions to benefit the entire community.
If you'd like to be a guest speaker, either live or remote call-in, please visit www.pickyweedz.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, find In the Weeds podcast guest application, click it, copy and paste the text into an email with your contact information, and send it to us at pickyweedz@gmail.com.
Now let's get in the weeds.
Good morning, guys. Well, welcome. It's season 2, episode 12, and we're here with one of our favorite customers. Morning, Nathan.
Good morning.
How are you? So, we're a little bit behind the gun here. So how did you get into this? To this life, I should say.
Just cut right to the chase.
Yeah, let's get down to it.
I was born at a very young age.
Born at a very young age on a dark and stormy night.
Yeah, is that where we should start? It really is where I should start. I was born into a Protestant family,
Ooh.
a clergy family, pastor's kid, actually.
You're always the bad one.
Wild child.
It got me in more trouble than anybody.
Yeah, I guess we had a little something to prove.
Janine, I'm thinking about you.
So, growing up, you know, your spiritual life was always on the forefront. You know, everything we did was church-centered.
Yes.
Now, I will say that for a Protestant boy growing up in the Northeast, I lived a rather liberal life compared to some people around me, even some family around me. I was allowed to listen to rock and roll music. I was allowed to date. I was allowed to go to the dances and have friends and live an otherwise normal life.
Dance.
We danced.
This is the devil.
Yes. Now, I will say my grandmother did not dance.
Yeah.
No. And certain members of the family or factions of the family, it would have been a huge rebellion if you listened to the Gaither Trio.
Oh, the Gaither Trio? Really?
Well, they had drums in them, my dear.
Oh, my God.
Yes, and drums.
That drumming
as
is
we all know,
of the devil.
That is the instrument of the devil, yes. Besides the pan flute. Right?
Oh, God.
Let's call the nasty woodland creature, shall we?
I always considered that I had it a lot better than people around me.
You did.
And I took a lot of that to heart. I was a good little Christian boy. I really was. And when I got into my teens, just by the fell clutch of circumstance and life, there was trauma there, let's say. Later in my teens, started questioning.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's
They
a rocky
don't
road.
like
No, they
questions. They don't like questions.
Yeah.
You know, all this talk about the Holy Father. Mm-hmm. Where the fuck is Mom?
Yeah, right?
Where's Mom?
Where's Mom? Duality. You got to have one.
And I remember asking that question at a Bible study and just getting shut down.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't take any questions from him anymore.
Did you get that he is all things?
Oh, yeah. You got every
yeah.
kind of justification. And, you know, when you really have Jesus, you won't need any of this other stuff. You'll just be aglow. Like
Jesus is the best acid ever, man. Yeah. Oh, my God.
So my first dalliances away from my native tradition would have been into some of the Eastern ways of thought, Taoism
Love
mainly.
Taoism.
And I read the Tao Te Ching and was heavily impressed by that.
Mm-hmm.
It was intuitive to me.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of sifting through the Bible. If you're going to read that and take things from it, you know, when you read something then like the Tao Te Ching, it's like, wow, it's
very logical.
It's pretty laid out
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
not a
yeah.
lot to dicker about here.
Yeah,
you know,
no.
we're all going to kind of come up with a much closer interpretation of that than
Well, it's
the
Eastern
story of Job.
Stoicism, so it's like it's like looking at everything literally as it is and not taking it personally.
Right.
And that's the best way I can think of breaking it down.
Yeah.
For people who aren't familiar, but I love that.
And the flow of energy. It talks a
Yeah,
bit about
oh, yeah.
like the way, how Tao
Yeah.
is the way, and
Yep.
it moves without striving like water.
Right.
You know.
Soft flowing around everything.
That
Yeah.
should have been one of the first lessons in Christianity. But,
Yeah.
But somehow either that lesson never bubbled up to the surface in the Bible, no one talks about it, or we just glazed over it altogether.
They don't talk about it all where his healing art came from, you know, and the energy that he expended. It's
Right.
like they make it way too magical and inaccessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll never attain this. Don't even try.
Just, right, like being Christed.
Yeah.
My interpretation is that Christ he never said, I'm the Son of God. He said, I'm the Son of Man.
Yeah, he did.
And I think the idea was that we all become Christed.
Yeah, it was.
Not that
Yeah.
I am going to be Christed, you will bow down and worship me, you will try to live like me but fail,
Yes.
and you will never reach there except that I give you grace.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're all dirty fucking
Yeah,
sinners.
you peasant. You peasant. Yeah. I don't think that was the intention behind his words at all.
No,
I never
no.
did. And he's like, I am the way, the truth, and the light.
Right.
That's allegorical.
Yes.
It's more like, watch me. See what I do. This is what you should do. This is about your freedom and your free will. And this is about you interpreting your path and your future. It was not about, hey, you got to do exactly what I do or you're going to hell.
Right,
He never
right.
said that kind of thing. But it got relegated to that when they left those 700 books out of the Bible. Yeah, yeah.
Now, both of you also come from
Oh, yes.
Judeo-Christian traditions, right?
Yes.
Growing up, it was
Evangelical.
Southern
there we go.
Baptist.
Okay, Southern Baptist. It might as well be evangelical.
It is. Ours was Southern Baptist Evangelical.
I couldn't go to dances.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing, no
right,
music.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Until my pothead sister bought me my first Bob Seger album.
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
Bob
she-
Seger was the ruin of many.
Yeah.
It was a 45. I'm dating myself.
Right.
That's
Right.
funny.
But
Yeah.
she was my fucking hero. Still is.
Bad little boy, you. Bad
It's
little
like-
boy.
Yeah, she's a badass.
Yeah. It's funny. It's just the weirdest freaking thing that we were a very musical family coming up, but this very evangelical upbringing. Actually, my grandmother on my mother's side was Jehovah's Witnesses. She was probably the worst of all of them as far as, being very staunch and being very disciplinarian and scared of everything, terrified of everything. You better go pray to Jesus and get on the knees by the feather bed. I mean, literally, she still had the feather bed. And she would get on her knees by the feather bed and just wail and pray when bad things happened or when you said something that set her off.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. So, yeah.
Well, it is a
And I've
religion.
been to the prayer meetings.
It is a religion of obedience.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
You have to obey.
And they were very much into that.
Or
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah, I think the only thing they didn't do is flail themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much everything else.
Just
but
on Tuesdays.
Yeah, just on Tuesday.
Which is really such a shame. If the church today were to melt away, and we had the source writings, what would it look like today? What would today's Christian practice look like if you didn't have the authoritarianism of the church?
The influence.
If you didn't have those people, waggling their fingers at us,
I feel like
it would
everybody.
look a lot more
Like us.
Our practice.
Yes,
our
absolutely.
practices, let's say.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it would be a lot freer. You might have, some really wild interpretations then.
Yeah.
But
But you're living your Christ-like,
we have that
Christ-like
now.
consciousness.
you're right.
Yeah.
We have
Wow.
that now.
Yeah, we do.
Interpretations now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very good perspective. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that take. Yeah, because
mean,
I think you'd have a more Christ-like consciousness going on, kind of thing. You know.
Do you remember that
flow
old
with the
hymn?
energy like Christ? Yeah.
What a friend we have in Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want
A friend like
like
Jesus.
Jesus? Right.
He was very cool. Yeah.
You know, so to this day, that's something I still, I contemplate and work over as far as like who I am now, where my practice is now, where I've come, and there's room for that.
Yeah.
I can
there absolutely is.
be an occultist
Yes.
and still have a relationship with this spirit
Yeah.
known as Jesus.
Absolutely. Part of
And
the
why
light
is that
bringers.
spirit of Jesus any different from any other spirit we're going to commune with out there in the
Exactly.
world, whether it's Hecate or
Yeah.
whoever. I mean, we can go on naming
Yeah.
them forever, but
No, I agree. Yeah, enlightenment comes from all these different sources.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no one path to that consciousness.
No, it's all the meaning we've given these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our egregores, as Mark would say,
Yeah.
that we have created around all these things and all these corporations even, and football teams and fantasy football teams and
Evangelical
churches. Yeah.
They are a corporation.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Anything that carries with it, it's some kind of culture.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, structure. Thou shalt not and thou shalt. Yeah, those kind of things. Yeah.
Don't miss the tithe bucket.
Yeah, we ain't got no tithe bucket.
I remember I remember as a kid, my first time seeing, we had a table. Well, actually, it was about 4 tables, and they had the little envelopes all lined up. I was like 7. I'm like, what is that? Oh, that's for tithing. What?
Yeah.
We got to pay?
Yeah.
You got to pay to be here?
Did they mail y'all envelopes?
They did.
Pre-tithing envelopes
did.
with
Yes.
the amount on
They
them?
did.
Yeah, all
Oh.
the Protestant
Yeah.
churches had those, right? You
Yes.
get them in a little box.
Us too.
I was like,
And
what
the church could then keep track of
How many you used and how often you tithed?
how much you gave.
Yes.
How much you gave. You
And
would
you
get
got
a
better
statement at
treatment.
the end of the year, actually. They would give you a statement for your taxes, to say you donated this much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
The expectation just blew my mind. I was like, when I saw the little box, I was like,
That was the start of the turn for me.
yeah, I'm paying you for what?
I was like, okay, none of the shit you say makes any fucking sense. I can suck it up for an hour a week and listen to you rattle on about whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But now I gotta pay for it? Okay, now we need to talk.
Yeah.
I'm like 7. Now we need to talk.
Yes.
This shit
This is crazy.
I'm not paying for this
Why
subscription.
are there Easter bunnies and Easter eggs and the resurrection? Why?
Yeah, I want some answers if you're gonna get my money.
they'll give you answers.
Real answers.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Not exactly the ones you were looking for, per se.
Right,
Yeah.
But half of them don't have them to give
Yeah.
to begin with.
Oh, and they get mad. And then they get hostile, and you get your ass beat for saying, I don't think you wanted to die. I didn't think you wanted to die. According to what your text said, he said, Father, why have thou forsaken me? I'm young, but I know what the hell forsaken means.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's like, yeah.
It's
I
not
got the
JK.
worst beating of my life for that. I wasn't even arguing. I was just asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the preacher knew that I caught him kissing one of the deacon's wives the week before. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, he used that as a,
Well, it's a challenge to authority when you
Yeah.
ask questions, and especially if it comes from a child, that's extra insulting to them.
Yeah, oh
because
my God.
You can't even fool a child.
yeah.
Well, the questions are a problem because they have this set in stone interpretation.
Yes, and it's meant to be
It's a script.
allegorical. Yeah.
Right. And they aren't allowed to deviate really from this script. And you asking those questions takes them off script.
Yes, it does.
Ask them about the book of Daniel and
Yeah.
who wrote it.
Yeah.
And why is it that it was written 400 years
later.
later?
Yeah.
After all of the
Yeah.
quote-unquote prophecies.
Yeah, or anything about Jesus
Came
35 to 45, 50 years later.
Right.
And
right.
Josephus.
Yes.
Didn't even know him.
Right. The Bible was written largely by people that didn't have any eyewitness accounts.
Yeah,
There was not a
yeah.
single eyewitness account
Yeah.
of Jesus that wrote it down and it made it into the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like,
And the original version is largely about the tribes and they're coming into the land from all these other lands like Mesopotamia, and Egypt and places like that. And It's kind of a track of the myths and the people and their stories. And there's a lot of allegorical stuff in there, and there's a lot of numerological stuff in there that people just kind of don't get, and they find it boring because they don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're looking for in the text.
How the fuck you live to be 700 years old?
I mean, my
In a
God,
fucking Bronze
Methuselah,
Age.
get off the cross, honey. Somebody needs the wood.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Do we forget how to do that?
I know. It's not like
And
it's,
he was
we
age
lost,
352.
we lost the fine art of
Right,
living to
right.
700. Yeah.
What?
We're working on it, though. We have a lot of centenarians amongst us now, so we're getting
Yeah,
there.
call me when it hit 300.
Right.
I don't know if I want to live that long.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
I didn't expect to live this long.
No.
No,
Let
they
me rest.
really have to do something about our income.
Yeah.
They would long outlive your money, right?
Oh,
Yes. Oh, my God. Well, they're trying to do something about that now. Maybe not what we'd like them to do about that, but they're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying to raise the retirement age again. Did you see that? Oh, my God. I'm like, and you didn't see what happened in France when you
Well-
raised the retirement age?
Well, the French know how to do it.
Yes, they
Here-
do. We need to get on the game.
Here we sue.
Yeah.
There, they band together and go to the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a manure spreader.
Yes. The manure spreader and hay bales.
That, right.
and-
That's all over the doors of the city hall.
That's a nice way of
That's a
saying you're a
common-
shit.
Yeah.
That is an awesome form of
not piss
protest.
off the
That is
farmers.
it's still like allowed and acceptable there. Where if that happened here, they would all of a sudden they'd outlaw manure spreaders.
Yeah, they
right?
would. They would. They ban bales of hay. You have to carry it out in pitchforks.
A manure
somewhere.
spreader company's based in China.
Yeah, they would too. What did China do to these people? Oh my God. I know, I love it. But it's funny. It's just the strangest thing. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, that if we would just band together and plan together ahead for several months and put aside food and medicine for people who are going to need it, and just take us sick out for 2 weeks, we could cripple these people. They lose billions of dollars a day.
It's so hard to get
It
everyone of the
is.
same mind.
They're not gonna do
Especially
it.
here when the money and powers that be are working to divide us.
Oh, yeah.
It's so
And they're
hard
doing
to
a
get
damn great
everyone
job.
of one mind.
Yeah.
Well, nobody cares about anything until it happens to them.
That's exactly right.
Right.
You know?
Well, we're all caught up busy making a living
Yeah,
too.
and
trying
trying
to
to
survive.
How much
survive.
time
Oh,
do
good.
I have
Jinx.
Yeah.
out there to be protesting?
Yeah.
I got shit I got to take care of at
Yeah,
work.
I got
It's
people-
important stuff.
I got
you
people
know.
relying on me to feed their faces.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's, what are you going to do? I got bills to pay, mouths to feed. Don't nothing grow on trees. Money don't grow on trees. Here.
No
Yeah.
rest for the wicked.
That's right.
But it is. You notice a lot of these.
Plug.
A lot of these foundations are started after something happened to one of them or
Yes.
one of their
Right,
family
right,
members.
right.
Now all of a sudden they're a champion for
Yeah.
the cause and donate. Where 6 years ago they'd be like, "Fuck it, I'm buying
Yeah.
a new car this year."
I remember a really bad shot of an ex-vice president who, when his daughter came out, he was floored, and he went from being very anti-gay rights to very pro-gay rights, and creating an organization in the whole 9 yards, and being one of the biggest champions out there because, well, he was kind of an ugly vice president when he
Right,
was
yeah.
vice president. Yeah,
But it
now he's
affected
this
him.
big love guy,
Yeah, affected him personally.
Yeah.
So
And
now
thank God
it's an
he
issue.
had some come to Jesus moment.
Yes, he did. He might have, and it kind of went. No,
I don't
I'm
know.
not going
Yeah, I
there.
don't know.
I'm
He
not
fell
going
back to
there.
sleep.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like you talked about this morning on your TikTok video about holidays.
Yeah.
And Easter and why we're open when so many other pagan stores are closed.
Yeah.
Why we stay open, and that's for our community, our marginalized community that maybe they had to begrudgingly go to the family
Sunrise service this morning.
or the dinner and listen to their crazy uncle rail on about all
Politics.
kinds of nonsense. And
Yeah.
it's just a miserable experience, and you're trying to live a different life.
Yeah.
And so we stay open, so you have some place to go and you can talk to somebody else that agrees with you or understands at the very least
Yeah.
your
Somebody like you.
perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because nobody in the family does, and they all think you're just going through your alternative phase.
Yeah, they do, and they roll their eyes at you and go, "Oh, it's just a phase you're going through, and you're trying to be anything but what we want you to be." Or
They don't take
very
it
often.
seriously.
Yeah.
Like if
The
you're not
phase
part
thing
of
is a
the-
popular one.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
They're going through a phase. That's how they'll talk about you behind your back. too.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll
If
smile.
they even care about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. They're trying to have some understanding. They don't understand it. And
No.
they kind of just shake their heads and say, well, he's just Nathan is Nathan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
And whatever. That's their take. That's where they're at. That's
judgment
fine.
from a place of perceived authority, though.
Yeah, it is.
They perceive themselves as right and
Yeah.
you wrong, and now they're like,
And they'll pray for you.
the way I'm doing it
Yeah.
is the way our parents have done it forever, and that's the only excuse.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know.
Yes.
That really gets uncomfortable when you realize that they feel that way too. It's really kind of painful.
Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you break family tradition?
Break family tradition.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, this is, you know.
This was the God of your fathers, the God of your grandfathers.
Yeah, and you're turning
Yeah.
your back, and they throw the guilt, and they throw all that bullshit.
And Aladaboff totally lied.
Mm-hmm.
He was a dim average. You know,
But you
but he's your God.
as a pagan in the workplace, your holidays aren't recognized by the federal government in this country. It's nothing.
Yeah.
You don't get a day off. You don't get holiday pay when you have to work on Samhain.
No.
You know, but
No.
why is one better than the other?
Yeah, why is one preferred? Yeah.
You know, why do they get a special day where they don't have to work, and a lot of them may or may not get paid for the day, whether they're there or not. But if you're not of that religion, and if you're not in that, then you're just ass out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I used
Well,
to
then I'm
raffle
going to
days
celebrate
off.
my traditions on whatever day
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
It might not
Yeah.
be the day.
Yeah.
It might be the day
But you're
I have
forced
off.
to do that.
Yeah.
You're forced to do that because you have to work on your holy day.
Yeah.
But if you're a Christian, you got Easter off.
Yeah.
Not every profession.
Unless you're in the medical profession
or emergency
or
services, and you know, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of gas stations stay open.
Like I used to work for a lot of my coworkers on those holidays because they weren't my holidays, and I knew they wanted them off, and I would work those for them. And then conversely, some of them would work them for me too. You know, I would say, well, can you work for me can you work for me on Samhain, which I would tell them October 31st. They always just assumed it, I was going to take my kid trick or treating or something, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll work for you," and can you work for me on the 21st? Yeah, I'll
And
work
to
for
them,
you.
that's a no-brainer
Yeah,
trade.
yeah,
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
well, I'm getting Easter.
Yeah, I'm getting Christmas. I'm getting Christmas Eve.
The way they feel about Samhain, like whatever, is the way I feel about yours.
Yeah,
and they don't
whatever.
understand that.
Yeah, they get very upset about that, and they get kind of aggressive.
Why are your holidays more important than mine?
Yeah, yeah.
But they
It's
don't
weird.
care about it because it doesn't affect them. You know?
Yeah, it's very
I don't
bizarre.
know. Pet peeve.
Yeah, it is a pet peeve.
But, do I expect the federal government to all of a sudden recognize pagan holidays? Fuck no.
No, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Because it's set in stone that this is the way it works.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the American way.
Well,
America.
I mean, I look at it like this. These weren't Christian
Yeah.
celebrations to begin with.
Yeah.
It's the current paradigm.
Yeah.
And whatever the next paradigm is
right.
going to roll over that, and they'll be given new names
Yeah.
and new meanings, but we're still going to have basically 4 times of year big celebrations.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're Christian, pagan, or whatever. So
Yeah.
do whatever that means for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On whatever days
Absolutely.
you have, make them holy yourself.
Yeah.
Keep
Yep.
them sacred yourself.
It's the recognition
You know?
of the point of the year that's
Yeah.
more
Right.
important than anything
Yeah.
else,
Right.
rather than the
Right.
day itself.
And it changes about, every 2,500 years?
Yeah.
A new religion takes precedence and comes in, and all of that changes again, and the names of those holy days change. But they pretty much stay the same because they've always been agrarian. They've always been cycles, solar and moon cycles. So it's that I don't think it's ever going to change. I think that we will see a time when that this religion, there will be a complete shift. It may not be in our lifetimes, but it looks like it's starting to be in our lifetimes. Like we're
Right.
getting close to that pinnacle, that apex in the curve where everything changes.
Well,
So-
the
Right.
Church is losing members like crazy
Yeah.
because the younger generation has a smartphone in their hand.
Yeah.
So back in the 70s, when they told us some absolute bullshit, we'd be like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't have anywhere to check it.
Gen Zer is going to go,
Real-time fact checking.
you're full of shit.
Yeah,
I
pretty
have
much.
100 sources that say you're full of shit.
That kind of
You know?
sucks for them,
And they're not as accepting of propaganda as the older generations were. Unfortunately, we didn't have those resources.
But then again, flip side of that coin, we bitch about they go to that and they get bad information.
Yeah,
Right.
And they
Right.
get absolutely erroneous information, and then they preach that like it's truth. And we see that in a lot of authors, and it really confuses historical practices.
Yeah.
And really, it really covers the gamut on not even just the Christian religion, but on all the pagan religions and as well. it's whatever somebody wanted the story to be rather than the actual fact.
Yeah.
And they just kind of intersperse it with whatever willy-nilly shit they want to put in there. And somebody reads that, believes it, starts passing that on. It becomes a whole whisper game.
Yeah.
That this is what actually happened when that never actually happened at all. You
Yeah.
know, so it's kind of detrimental. And we don't sit down and we don't talk to each other and we don't study. We just, the first 3 search results that come up, we look at them and don't think about going to the bibliography and looking at the links, for the references and seeing, where that idea came from.
They don't know how to research.
Yeah, and it's awful. And that's one of the problems I see with social media, is that's one of the reasons that people don't take things so seriously, is because there's all this willy-nilly horse shit out there about what we actually practice and why we actually practice it. And, it's kind of lost its meaning. It's lost its luster.
That's one of the few things I got out of college was learning how to research.
Yeah.
That's one of the most important.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And how to absolutely research, not as a cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Getting it to agree with what your already held beliefs are, just looking for corroborating information. No, going at it in a neutral position and looking for the best, most accurate information.
No.
Instead of just accepting on face value. Bella's in rare form today. She is like petting everybody.
She wants attention.
She's very, very
She
rough
gets
with her
it.
pets. I'm telling you.
It's German love.
It's very,
I will punch you in the face. I will cut your arms
Like a
open.
Klingon.
Yeah, I love you, and you will have remembrance of me.
It's good that I didn't yelp. I'm like, it's close. Oh.
But
So I think my story is one of a series of head breakings.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like the first thing to break my head was like Taoism.
Yeah.
Probably the next thing to break my head open was psychedelics.
Yeah, I love it.
My first experience was with what do we call them, microdots?
Yeah, I
back
love
in the day.
acid. Yeah,
no, they
I
weren't
love
acid.
LSD.
It was no, it wasn't LSD. It wasn't peyote. Oh my goodness. Maybe I've done too many. I can't remember what they
I
called
remember the
them.
name of those things.
Not peyote. What was mescaline?
Mescaline, oh, yeah.
Mescaline is what it was.
Yeah,
And it took, God, forever. It was me and a friend, and we had another friend babysitting us because we didn't know what to expect. And
Always a good plan,
it
by the
was
way.
After
Yeah.
an hour and a half, do you feel anything? I don't feel anything. Let's do more.
always a good plan.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yes.
That was a mistake.
Yes. You learn that with edibles nowadays, too.
And I spent probably the next 5 years doing quite a bit of psychedelic exploration. Later, I would read another head-breaking was Ram Dass's "Be Here
Be
Now."
here now, yeah.
Yeah.
And he talked about that, and I said, "Wow, that's kind of like where we came to. How they were doing LSD. They felt like we're pushing up against something here.
Yeah.
The veil, whatever it is, we don't know, but there's something here." And he got to a point where he was like, "Yeah, great. It's kind of like flying. You
Yeah.
know, like after you've flown over your town, 10,000 times, you're kind of like, okay, so we're flying, but what do we do with this?"
Yeah, yeah.
And he kind of became a little not disillusioned. He realized he had explored what he could explore there with psychedelics.
Yeah.
And okay, it's like a plane, it's like a tool, but so what?
Yeah.
You can't go to space in it. You can only fly around here in
Yeah.
it, And it wasn't until he went to India and had his head broken
Yeah.
by Bhagavan Das. I don't know if any of you are familiar
Yeah.
with his story and stuff. And then he met his guru there. So let's see. Oh, God, I've gone through it all. I've been atheist. I've been agnostic. I've been a nihilist. I've gone through all of these stages. Not that I'm a fan of St. Augustine, but something he said really impressed me, or wrote in his Confessions, was that, and I'm paraphrasing here, if you want to look at truth, you have to sit in every seat of the stadium and look at truth.
Absolutely.
Or you haven't looked
Yeah.
at truth.
Yeah.
Until you
It's
look
just-
at it from down up on top, until you look up the skirts of it, until
Yeah.
you see it from the right and left,
Yeah.
until you say God is the ultimate good and God is the ultimate evil,
Yeah.
you will not know God.
Exactly.
You have to take both of those ideas, put them in your mouth, swish them around. It doesn't mean you have to imbibe them and become them and say, well, this is what I am from now on.
Yeah.
But sit with it.
Yeah.
Entertain that idea and sit with it. You don't have to incorporate it. But whatever exploration you do, to take that and sit in that driver's seat for a little while. Test drive that.
That's really profound.
Yeah, it is.
You're never going to see any, real truth otherwise.
Yep.
So fast forward probably many years, many explorations. Kind of I became a parent. That was the big head break.
Yeah, it is.
That's the thing that turned me from a kid into an adult. And it made me question my relationships, my what's acceptable for you. Like if you're just hanging out with friends and partying and stuff, you find that a lot of those relationships aren't really what you want to show your kid.
No.
Is a relationship.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of back away from some people. I started embracing others more. It was just this natural thing that happened. It wasn't like I had to try. I could feel myself in that 10-month period of pregnancy. I could feel myself almost on the weekly, like changing, and I couldn't stop it, and I didn't want to stop it. Yes, that whole process began, and it was profound for me. It really was. From there, I kind of wandered through it was sort of a syncretic thought of Gnosticism, Jewish mysticism, getting into the Mandeans of Iraq. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They use a lot of water ritual. It's constant bathing. They've got to be the cleanest people on earth. And there are still sects of Mandeans out there.
Yeah.
And they're always like bathing in these springs in Iraq. They've been around for thousands and thousands of years. They're at the kind of the heart of the Gnostic movement. But boy, you're like, these these philosophies might resonate. But when you get down to the nitty gritty and you look at the practice and you're like, ooh, wow, that's some commitment, man. Like,
I can't undertake that. I have too much on my plate.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. So what do you do with this stuff then?
Yeah.
You have these thoughts. They if you sit with them long enough, they start to become near and dear to you because they'll start to change your inner environment.
Yeah, they do.
Right? Yeah. So, still at this point, I was remotely aware of a Western occult tradition, but didn't really know anything about it. The only thing I knew was Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be the wickedest man ever alive or something.
I think he loved that.
Great marketing campaign.
Yeah.
I had a roommate who talked about him a little bit and talked a little bit about ceremonial magic, but it all just seemed like a little crazy to me when I saw the pictures of Crowley, with his headdresses and such. It was
the yoga position.
It was a little too precious. It was a little too precious. The yoga path at that point was starting to become more popular. This would have been like the early 90s. I'm old like you guys, so
thanks for reminding me.
That's okay. We'll be old together. There weren't a lot of yoga studios around. If you wanted to learn about yoga, it wasn't easy, or you had to find some books. For so long, and even still today, I kind of feel like what was his name? Danny in the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
I feel like Danny. Like I'm at home, standing over a book, doing these karate moves all the time. Like hanging out, hoping for some Miyagi to come along and say, "You need a teacher."
Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet.
It never happens that way, does it?
I've had teachers. I've had. There's one I consider my guru. I've never met him in person.
Yeah.
We've chatted on the internet before, question and answer type stuff. But I've been following him for 10 years, maybe 15 years, something like that. And at different times, I'd say I definitely have had different teachers. So,
Allergies.
oh gosh, it was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. Grant Morrison. Remember Grant Morrison? He's the artist. He does the comics. He's got this almost illegible brogue. So you need a translator if you listen to him, especially when he's on acid. And he, I can't remember where it was. It was at some Comic-Con or something like that.
Yeah.
He got up with a head full of acid and just started talking about his alien abduction.
Oh my
and stuff.
God.
I mean, like, everyone there was just either like, this is fucking awesome. Or they were like, what is he
the fuck
talking
is wrong
about?
with him? Yeah.
That wasn't in the book.
Yeah.
But he mentioned someone. He mentioned Freighter Xavier.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was like, huh. You know, I went and checked him out. And that really was my portal of entry into the Western esoteric tradition.
Yeah.
And if any of you out there are beginners and are looking for just a very rudimentary introduction to the Western occult tradition, Freighter Xavier on YouTube is a good place to start. I don't like to plug people, but I'm going to plug him because
please do.
for a time he was one of my gurus.
Yeah.
And he has a series called Mystery School.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's probably 50 or 60 videos. It probably goes on and on and on and on and on. I don't go there so much anymore, but it was foundational to me in, you know, helping to develop what my idea of magic is. It's a big world.
Yeah,
and
it is.
to any beginner, it's like looking at, oh, I want to start religion. Where do you start?
Yeah, right.
Where do you start?
start?
There is not a beginning point.
There are the what not to do's, and that's the only thing you can really give somebody. Other than that, the jumping off point depends on you and where you're at.
You just got to jump in.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
Yeah.
It
You've
is
got to have
so
an interest and just
vast.
go for it. Yeah, it's
and
amazing.
And when you start out, you know, we're like blind men feeling an elephant.
Yeah.
You know, we describe to each other what we see or where we're at, and you think you listen to other people when you're new, and you think, oh, okay, so I got to do stuff with candles. Oh, okay, and then you meet someone that's like, well, I don't do shit with candles.
Yeah.
I do stuff with water. And you're like, what the?
Yeah.
What do you mean you do stuff with? What do you do with water?
Right.
Right, yeah.
Like, oh, you do a lot of stuff with the PGM, or you know, you didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
You know, I would say it took 2 years for me to even start to have a clue of what my practice might start to grow toward
what it might
and
look like. Yeah.
Right. And even today, it's still, there's a lot of blurry places.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of blurry places.
I think that's
Yeah.
what makes it interesting. Is that you the minute you get a little bit comfortable, you get a bolt thrown, you know, and it's like, oh, who threw this nut in here? Who threw this bolt in here? What the fuck is this? You know, and then you're down that rabbit hole.
Right.
I had
You know,
a headbreaker moment. as you
Yeah,
said.
Right.
I love
right.
that.
I
I
may
absolutely
steal
love
that.
that.
That's a good way to
It
put
is.
it,
It's
too.
true, though.
Because it does break you.
It does.
You know, and then you
All
look at
those-
like, how did I think like that?
Yeah, all those preconceived notions you had, you realized that was spoon-fed generationally or even environmentally, you know, from media sources and people around you, and that's not really what you think at all. It's not really what you believe at all. It's just you were going along with it. You were along for the ride. And it's assimilation culture. I mean, that's all
Right.
it is. Yeah.
There is a group on Facebook that I follow that it just annoys the shit out of me.
You follow it just because it annoys
My God,
you.
it's like I
love
shake
that.
my head every time I read a post. It's a, you know, it's for the beginners out there, and you'll see questions like, how do I get in touch with Satan and ask him for things? Like, oh God,
Yeah.
oh God, no, please say you didn't ask that. You know, I want to reach out to these people, and I want to, I don't know, shake them or something. Like, this is where the weakness of this community is that it's like we're almost too diasporatic.
Yeah.
Whereas the church says, oh, hey, if someone comes in with questions like that, we can help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that I'm saying that they're going to give you the right help, but there's a structure there for that. Within the occult philosophy area, the Western esoteric tradition, there is no...
You're on your own.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
And so how many of these, and they all sound like kids, how many of these kids are going to find their way?
Yeah.
Or are they going to get lost? Or are they going to be doing things like, what if they actually managed to pull off a curse?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of horror could that wreak in their life?
Yeah.
You know?
And what kind of ick is it going to get on the people they love?
Right.
This is why I always warn people against adjacency in magic.
Right.
Because if you're going to be hexing or cursing, you have to think about exactly what is adjacent to that. And if that curse is actually literally earned, or if you're just being a judgmental douchebag, you know.
Right.
If they've hurt innocents and they've really harmed innocents, then yeah, maybe. But you still have to think about, are there innocents living with them, or are there innocents living around them? And how are they going to be harmed by that? And how
It's like a grenade.
How are they going to intersect it? Because it is just like a grenade.
Right.
And then there's also the universe is a big-ass mirror. So whatever you mess up and you aren't specific about, you're going to eat it. And then people that you love around you are also adjacent to whatever work you do, and they get harmed that way. And people don't think about that, and then they wonder why the hell their life blew up.
Right.
You know, it's just kind of, it's tragic and it's sad. Think hard, think long, speak honestly, truthfully, and succinctly. We always say be very specific.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
I mean, there are schools you can go to, but then you're getting it from their perspective.
Yeah, it's their practice.
Like the Rosicrucians, Amorc, they have a program, you know, and it's incremental, goes up.
And good Lord, they have everything.
And for $10,000, they'll share it with you too.
That's exactly
it's insane.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, we got to keep the lights on.
They
right?
were romancing me years ago, and I was like, "You cost way too much money."
Yeah.
They have way too fancy of a welcome package.
Yes.
Oh, they have full
It was like
color
that
glossy.
thing,
I got
Yes.
it too.
You see
I
the
got it
temple.
too.
And
We all.
And that fancy temple in the library.
I'm like, yeah, no.
It's for the people that shook out of Scientology.
Yeah. Those are the ones with the money. Go after them.
Right.
And you know, and Mark has a great organization right
Yeah.
here locally, the Institute for Hermetic Studies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of free stuff that he puts
That's
out.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, he gives talks, he gives speeches, and there's some paid content too.
But it's low
not.
cost. It's not-
It's not $10,000.
Right.
No.
It's accessible.
Yeah.
you
Well, and
know.
a lot of those, you know, the Amorc and the Golden Dawn, basically in general, I have problems with them.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
You know, we had magic
Yeah.
before the Golden Dawn.
Yes, absolutely.
And it didn't happen like they sell it.
No, not
It
at
wasn't
all.
this closed lineage from Egypt that went all through the ages.
No, not at all.
And they are now the purveyors of that. That's
They would love
that's
you
the
to think
myth.
that. They would love
Yeah.
you to think that. Yeah.
But you know, look, I'm all for the great work.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But can we please stop?
But I'm
with the
also
Golden
all
Dawn?
for self-actualization.
Right.
You know, self-realization.
I think that stuff comes
Yeah.
when you start working with magic.
Yeah.
And I mean, not in the Golden Dawn, because that's like a prescribed path. It's going to
Yeah.
take you, they're going to give you colors that you are going to associate with things.
Yeah.
And you're going to create kind of a theater in your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
In your
just
psyche.
teaching you how to visualize.
They're teaching you how to visualize, how
Yeah.
to untie certain knots, and there's a great value to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's potent stuff that really will help a lot of people.
Yeah.
But when you come into magic and you're kind of fed this idea that the Golden Dawn is the new magic. This
Yeah.
is the
No.
paradigm of the day. And so people then come in and you know, they'll start doing their banishings
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I know in the past we've talked about Foolish Fish.
Yeah.
How
Mhm.
plug there.
Yeah.
Foolish
Love
Fish
him.
on YouTube. If you haven't seen him
Absolutely,
yet,
great
please look.
resource.
Yeah.
And he takes some of the angels and colorings and stuff and changes them around in his banishing.
Yes. As you should.
And right, because we're setting up a system in our heads.
Yes.
Now,
And it should mean something to
to
you.
you. Yellow
should
doesn't
resonate.
mean anything but yellow, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what right path, left path, those are human words.
Yeah.
Right and left didn't mean anything.
No, magic is
before.
magic is magic.
It's all the stuff that we put into it to try to get a handle on some type of organization of thought.
Yeah.
You know, the Golden Dawn has certain prescribed symbols, certain prescribed colors, certain prescribed directions.
Yeah.
And you want to learn those the way they teach them right off if you're going to follow that system.
If you're going to stay within that
If you're going to stay within
You're
that
just
system.
honoring the work
And
of the
every
temple.
other system has their language of dealing with reality. They are using a language while they're feeling the blind people feeling the elephant in the room, you know. But you know, you go into some of these chat rooms and stuff, and people don't understand that. They think that their system, well, yellow doesn't mean that. Oh, you get a yellow candle?
Yeah.
Well, it's never going to happen now.
Oh,
It's never,
yeah.
in fact, you
So
probably
funny.
screwed it up.
Yeah, we hear that all the time.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And people are always asking me, what do the candle colors mean? They mean whatever you want them to mean.
Right.
I said, because what you're seeing on the internet and what you're hearing from other people are generally coming from somebody's tradition.
Right.
And all the traditions are different. So it's not going to matter to you. You have to decide what it means for you.
Right.
And that's what gives it the power.
Yes.
Because your association, that correlation to it, that strikes an emotion in you, that raises an energy in you. And that's how this works, folks. It's your energy. It's your thought process. It's your correlation. It's your imagination. Let's do it.
Well, that's the part that, you know, people new especially want to belong to something that's established so that they have a roadmap.
Yeah.
They don't realize it the entire time that they're the one that makes the roadmap.
Yeah. The road is yours.
They want to assign that power
Yeah.
to another organization or another person or another school when they don't realize that it's all here anyway. You know, so like to your point where you're learning that systems associations, you're hampering yourself.
Robert Frost this shit.
Right.
Take the road less traveled.
Yeah.
Go. You know, and that's someone that's going to mean the most to you.
Ask for guidance.
Yeah,
Ask
yeah.
your spirits, your guides,
ancestors,
your allies, your ancestors
Absolutely.
for guidance.
And they'll
Ask
give
them
it.
for your next teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep your eyes and ears open.
Yeah.
And it might not be Miyagi walking up to you.
And you might
but
not know
it
it's
might
a teacher.
be some guy on YouTube.
Yeah.
It might be the animal encounter you had on your walk today.
Yes, sir.
You know, a lot of it is...
It's
you know,
really that simple.
Or that bum
It
on
is.
the street.
Yeah.
There's some very poetic things I've talked to people, just talking to people on the street that nobody else would talk to. And realizing the terror and the trauma that they had been through in their lives and how happy they were just to be free of the system was like, man, I really want to do that. How do you do that? How do you shake off all this material shit?
I've had
Yeah.
homeless fantasies too.
Yeah, I love that. I want a van down by the river. You know, I don't care if it runs or not. You know?
You do learn that way, though.
Yeah.
You know, like they say that the words of the prophets are written on the subway
Yeah,
walls
oh my
and
God,
tenement
it's
halls.
so friggin' much
I
truth
have
in that
learned
song. Yeah.
more in my life from people in that level of life than from any guru or any magical text.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked in the prison system for 5 years. You know the amount of brilliance that
Oh
is
my
locked
God.
up?
Right.
And
Yeah.
just sitting and having conversations with some of them that aren't trying to scam you.
They were too fucking sane for this world is what
You
happened.
know, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just didn't fit in our
Yeah.
paradigm,
Yeah.
you know, and it's interesting, you know, like the most random person can come through the door at the store and they don't look,
And blow your mind.
they don't look like
Yeah.
anything you would expect. And then when they start talking, it's, oh, I need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
and
listen, I'm
because
learning something here.
That is really, really
Literally.
interesting, you know, and the different perspectives that people have from different walks of life. And that's where your lessons come from.
Yeah, that's why we like to
Yeah.
have these conversations like with you.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to have an absolutely different experience or perspective
Right.
that you never even considered.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
have your aha moments when you're having these conversations. And I
Right,
can't
right.
tell you how much it happens.
Everybody
It's
gets in their
crazy.
bubble.
Yeah,
We all
yeah.
get in our bubble where we're comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, but the lessons are learned when the bubble breaks.
Well, I've always had this
right.
serious case of imposter syndrome, so I learn a lot.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, I do.
Big time.
It's terrible. It hits me at the worst times. You're like, you're talking, and this is when, no, wait a minute. Is this what I really want to tell them? Wait. Yeah, it's crazy. But you learn so much from them. And I think some of the best philosophers I ever met were on two wheels.
Oh, bikers.
Yeah.
Oh, my
yeah,
God, yeah.
Yeah. They were
Absolutely.
insane. It was insane conversations with guys who just rode around the country on two wheels, and the things that they see and the things that they've experienced and the way that they think when the world is blocked out and they have that helmet on or they have the wind in their hair, you know, and they have nothing but time to think. Mm-hmm. They'll say some of the most incredible things, and you'll just kind of your jaw just drop, and you're like, "Damn!"
If you're open to beauty and truth,
Yeah.
you'll see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know, if you are
Absolutely.
open to being angry and feeling slighted,
and edgelordy,
you're going to go out.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to
You're
find.
going to find something to
Yeah.
be mad about.
Right.
You will.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, if you
absolutely.
want to keep an open mind, you can watch the Care Bears.
Oh, I love the
and,
Care Bears.
And Cole, great wisdom.
Yeah.
Great,
Yes.
deep wisdom that
Yes.
too many adults or even kids that thought they knew better just glazed over.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to be a magician, read fairy tales.
Yes.
Read
Oh,
cartoons.
yeah.
Yeah.
Read Garfield strips.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
telling you, it sounds infantile, but I
But
mean,
it's true.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
It is.
And if you ask for it,
Yeah.
they'll give it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it might come in a Care Bear episode or the song that got stuck in your head.
Yeah.
You know, I've had one for about 4 days now, and it's driving me fucking crazy. But I keep saying, why did you guys put this in my head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say to
I
me?
wake up and it plays.
Yeah.
I'm going to bed at night, I'm sitting there and it's playing. And
Yeah.
I used to really get really frustrated by this. And now I just kind of like, okay, it's going to live here for a while.
Yeah.
It wants to live here for a while. I can't get rid of it, but I have to be very careful now. I can't listen to Nina Simone sing I Ain't Got No.
Yeah.
Because that hounded me for about 3 weeks.
I love it.
And I can't, I love that song.
You have good taste.
I have to be careful.
Look at that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You have good taste.
There was some old, one of the enlightened ones told us a story once about, a guy who comes to this village and says, I hear there's like a wise man here. And they said, yeah, he lives out on that island by himself out there. So he paddles out to the island, and the old man is sitting there he's sitting over his fire and he's saying a prayer. And the guy, he stands back. He doesn't want to interrupt him. But he notices some of the pronunciations of the prayer. He knows the prayer, but the pronunciations aren't right.
Yeah.
And so after he's done the prayer, he's invited to sit at the fire, and they talk for a while. And he says, by the way, he goes, I just wanted to let you know, some of your pronunciations are off a little bit there.
Right, bro.
And the guy said, oh my God, well, thank you
Yeah.
for pointing that out to me. I'll definitely, make a change. So they part ways, and, this guy is paddling back to the mainland. And, thinking about, like, this guy is supposed to be like some wise man. He didn't even know how to say these prayers the right way.
Yeah.
And he's paddling, and he feels like a tap on his shoulder. And he turns and looks, and there's the wise man standing on the water. And he's like, oh, my God. And the wise man said, how did you pronounce that again? Tell me, please.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's funny. That's
know.
funny. That's excellent. Yeah.
So we never know.
Never think too much of yourself.
Right.
So
Yeah.
where are you at now in your practice? What's going on now?
The past 2 years, basically, I've spent developing relationships with certain spirits,
Yeah.
with my ancestors. My practice involves quite a bit of, I would say, what's central to my practice is mantra, which I learned in, the yoga tradition, specifically the white Tara. The white Tara, it's one of those stories of when a spirit reaches out to you. I knew nothing of the white Tara. And the first time I heard the white Tara mantra, well, it became an earworm, let's say.
Yeah.
And that was about 7 years ago, and it's not left. I didn't know for the longest time even what I was saying. While I would run, I'd always done mantra while I run.
Yeah.
I'm one of those antsy people that has a really hard time sitting still for that kind of meditation. So most of my meditation was done while trail running.
Yeah.
And when the White Tara mantra came along, I just picked that up and started, I'll say, playing with it, knowing nothing, not even knowing what the White Tara was.
Yeah.
But if you say something 10,000 times, it's going to leave an impression.
Yeah.
And probably within the last year, I realized she's been sitting with me
Yeah.
the entire time.
Yeah.
I work a job that takes me into some pretty dark places, some places where people are at their worst. And I have to be the light in the darkness
Yeah.
there. If I took that home with me, it would destroy me.
Yeah.
In a matter of months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had to, not that I've had to, I've always seemed to have a way to kind of be insulated from that while being the light. I owe that to the White Tara. I feel that it really is the light of the Tara that comes through me that others see. Do they know that? No.
No.
It does not matter.
No.
It's
It
not
could-
for show.
And it could all be made up. It
Yeah.
really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's where did you find the light?
Yeah.
Is it coming out?
Yeah.
One of my favorite authors is, oh my God. See, here we go. There's that mescaline again.
Yeah. That was 1987.
Oh, a big head breaking was the Swamp Thing. I read the Swamp Thing when I was about 14 years old. Alan Moore was writing for the Swamp Thing then, and that blew my mind apart. I went from Archie's to the Swamp Thing, which is like the kiddie pool to like the Marianas Trench.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
His god is Glycon. And Glycon, I can't remember if it was Josephus or whoever, some one of those Greek historians wrote about Glycon. Glycon was a puppet, a snake puppet. And there was a cult of Glycon, and I can't remember the name of his main quote-unquote prophet, or puppeteer. But it was well known
I love that.
Glycon was a snake puppet. Okay? And would talk to his followers just like a puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Alan Moore knows he's a fake. He's a phony. This is not real. This was made up.
Yeah.
And his point is, it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't.
It does not matter. What makes your heart open?
Yeah.
You know?
What speaks to you?
What is going to, the Christians say they'll lay it at the cross.
Yeah.
The Buddhists say you open up.
Yeah.
Either way, it's the same thing. It's that unburdening of the self with the self, and the opening to that idea that if we strip away everything inside of me, I'm left with just a witness.
Yeah.
There's no history. There's no personality. All that stuff is overlays.
Yeah.
Right? The three of us sit here right now as three witnesses with a lot of layers of mood, of our own personal histories and biases and things like that. But those are just layers on top of the eyeballs that are witnessing. And if we get rid of those, what is the difference between your witness and my witness?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
We are the same. We are but separate nodes upon the same thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Just experiencing reality here. Maybe we just wanted to look at ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe God said, I want to see what I look like.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to kind of carve out a separate idea of meanness in order to look back at me,
Yeah.
Try to see yourself it's like looking at yourself in the mirror with your eyes closed.
Yep.
You're never going to know what you look like.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, and it's like that one thing that always sticks with me, and I cannot remember who said it, that you're not a human having a spiritual experience. You're a spirit having a human experience.
Yes, exactly.
Hold that in your
Right.
heart, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yes.
And remember, this is fleeting.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And you're going to do it again next time.
And again.
Yeah, and
again.
again.
So
and again.
maybe we can make some progress in this round.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so we come up a little further down the
Absolutely.
lane next round if we don't
Yeah.
know. That's the strength of my faith is that I say I don't
I don't know.
I don't know.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah.
So right now I have like daily rituals.
Yeah,
I
same.
have weekly rituals. I have monthly rituals. I have certain rituals I perform that will happen just a few times a year.
Yeah.
This is all my own, it's
Yeah.
eclectic. It's
Yeah.
I don't follow any particular system. It's when I explore and say like the Orphic hymns.
Yeah. I love the
Something
Orphic
about
hymns.
the Orphic hymns will resonate with
Yeah.
me. So I start exploring that,
Oh, yeah.
and I love to find a ritual to work,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's kind of like, that's sort of why we're here.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah. It's kind of fun to delve into it and see what it does for you.
I think
Right.
that's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
perfect way to do it.
I think that's how you should practice.
Yeah.
It should be all about like childlike self-discovery.
Yes, curiosity.
Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
think there's some forgiveness in the universe for fools and drunks, right?
Yeah.
That
Right.
if I do stumble into something that's deeper than me, that it won't work or something.
Yeah, yeah.
The safety catch goes on.
Right.
She's
right.
funny. Yeah, she's funny, the universe. She's funny. Yeah, yeah.
So, but it's mostly been about protection, finding my spirits and asking them to watch over me.
Yeah.
I have
Make sure I don't do anything stupid. I am only
right.
human.
I
Yeah.
have a certain saint. I kind of call him my doorman.
Yeah.
When I do work, you're the one I ask you, just keep the bad
Yeah.
ones out,
Yeah.
let the good ones in. I'm careful with banishings.
Yeah.
Because
You don't want to banish everything.
you don't want to banish everything.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's sort of like
Yeah.
coming into a place that's not yours.
Yeah.
And kicking everyone
Everybody out.
How about like going to the woods
I love you
and
for
doing a
saying that.
banishing?
Yeah.
And, thinking that, like, what, you're in charge of that space?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just walked into the woods?
Yeah, who
And
are
you're
you?
going to walk out.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I had to clean that space, if I was going to do something there, I would probably make multiple trips,
Yeah.
do a banishing, ask for forgiveness,
Yeah.
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 go back next week, do another banishing, ask for forgiveness. Guys, this is your place, forgive me,
Yeah. Yeah, I never do that. And that's the funniest thing that you say that, because I'm always saying to people, yeah, they're rattling around in your house, and yeah, they're making noise. They want you to notice them.
Yeah.
They're stuck here. That's some part of their energy that is stuck here, and they just realized that they heard me. They know I'm here.
Right.
And that just got to make them so happy that somebody knows I'm here.
Right.
I've just been hanging out here waiting for anybody to notice me, and all of a sudden you're kicking them out of your fucking house. What is wrong with you? That's just mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, live with them a little bit. Pour them a drink like I do. Put it on the altar.
Right.
Tell them it's theirs. Leave them a little something. Make them feel welcome. And usually that's all it takes to have a harmonious house.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to go and kick everybody out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
It kills me. But I'm like, that's with banishings here. It's like, it's mostly if it means harm or if it's going to cause a toxic situation, you got to go.
Right.
Yeah.
As people
If you-
bring baggage.
Yeah, they do.
Lots of spiritual baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and things follow them. And it's an interesting day sometimes. Yeah.
So
but
what advice would you give someone who's just starting out? If you were here at the store and you had a new person come in, and what do I do? What do I do first?
Well, I'd say there's two main ways to go on this. You can either go with something like a Golden Dawn system.
Yeah.
Some people really want that, and
Yeah.
at times I do too.
Yeah.
I'm a little envious of someone to have like all these teachers
Yes.
there.
And these rigorous guys.
But I'm just not there yet. And if the time is right, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Right. So you can either go that route, and I would say to them, just understand the system that you're setting up in your head works within that system, and it is not this universal thing that you'll go out into the world and say, this is magic. No, this is the Golden Dawn thing, which really what you're doing is you're doing self-work.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not learning cunning folk magic.
Yeah, right.
You're not learning candle magic. You're not doing this stuff. Stuff might come in on the periphery, but generally what you're doing is inner self work, which is great because so many people need to untie these psychic knots that we put ourselves into or were given to us.
Yeah.
The other way I would say is sort of the way I'm going about it, which is the eclectic way. See what resonates for you.
Yeah.
The don't do's, don't jump into anything too quickly.
Yeah.
Don't do this if you're coming in because you want to get back at someone, you're
coming in for the wrong reason.
You're in the wrong place, guys. Forget it. If you want to be an adept, you're not going to be an adept of anything for at least 5 years. Please understand that. You're not going to go through the grades and burn through the grades and just be like, and it's just not going to happen. Anything, my God, name any skill out there that you're just going to rise to the top and be.
Yeah, you're not going to be a carpenter in 5 minutes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't buy it.
You can't buy it.
No.
You can learn, you can study. The thing that is going to teach you is going to be the experience, and you can never, ever, ever rush that.
And here's the caveat. You're going to get there, and you're going to realize that you're doing this with such ease now, and then you're going to get bored. And you're going to be looking for something else to fill yourself with, because once you get to the adept level, it's like you're doing things by rote now. And then that kind of loses the mystery. And if you want to maintain the mystery, guess what you got to do? You got to go learn something else and try to learn something new. And
put on a white belt again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you're not growing.
Yeah.
And you're not really enjoying the experience. You're just going through the motions. So, yeah. Be an adept. That's great. What are you going to do next?
Well, hooray for you.
Hooray for you.
Well, I've arrived here now. And so, I'll just sit on my cloud and look down upon those that
peasants,
are... Yes.
As Bella does on the hill when she goes to take her daily dump.
I think that if you start applying, crafting your craft, crafting your practice, I think that other type of work will begin to come naturally.
It does.
You will begin to do the self work
if you're actually doing it.
If you're actually doing it, you'll some of your aims. So a lot of these rituals are made to walk you through steps of growth. Being conscientious, being mindful. I mean, look at the Mass. The Catholic Mass is magical.
It's beautiful.
There's no
we
two ways
watch
about
it every
but
year.
You're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
They can.
I'd do it
but
anyway.
You can't. But look at the communion.
Yeah.
Right? Those prescribed moves that every Catholic priest does.
Yes.
They do it the same way. They
person.
take an aspergillum, for crying out loud, and put it in holy water and shake it over the people.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Well, we don't believe in magic, though.
Yeah, no.
Really?
Really, you're practicing everything we practiced before you, so we enjoy watching it because they do a great job of the old practices.
Yes.
They do a beautiful job of it. And I'm like, but you are practicing magic, sorry.
And if you think you're getting away from the church by getting into magic...
Yeah, you're not.
You're not.
You're not.
You're not. Sorry,
it's
guys.
all interwoven. Sorry.
Oh, God. Look at the grimoire tradition. You are going to say prayers to Jesus, to God, the Father, and the Holy Spirit over and over and over again. So you like all those symbols? You think they're creepy looking?
Yeah.
You like to, draw them in your notebooks at school and shit? Well, guess what? They're churchy.
Yeah.
They're churchy, guys.
I like to watch people's face, even though the pentagram predates the church. The church still used the pentagram to symbolize the Christ.
Right.
And I'm like, I love to see people's face, and then I'll show them pictures of church windows.
Church windows, the stained glass windows, with the pentagram. It's wonderful.
See?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
So, there was a lot of conquering, and there was a lot of assimilation, but there's also a lot of beauty in the fact that we didn't lose the practices.
Right.
Because they picked them up and ran with them.
Right.
And we're like...
They did get preserved some way,
and
somehow.
a lot of times that doesn't happen in cultures where they've been conquered and everybody was killed.
Right.
Because they just wiped it out and came in.
And how many don't we have?
Yeah, because there's what is it? There's 2 languages dying pretty much every decade. And so we're losing all of that. We've lost 590 some odd languages. They're not just dead, they're extinct. Nobody studies them, nobody speaks them. And that means that all of those are lost traditions. All of those are people lost to the annals of history that we'll never know about. We'll never get to see. And that's why we're so funny about tell us your tradition. Tell us what you do. Speak to people about it. So these closed traditions are kind of doing themselves a disservice if their language should happen to disappear.
Right.
Because those traditions and that love that they put into those traditions dies with them.
Hopefully people are realizing, though. And you see now, like in some of the Tibetan practices, these things that were closed in secret for a very long time, these
Not
monks now
anymore.
are talking about because they're saying they're dying.
Yeah.
So now we have to put them on YouTube.
Yes.
So that someone like you or you might take an interest and want to learn about it,
Yeah.
and thereby preserve it.
they're
You know,
even
They
putting
take a
mantras on
risk,
there,
though.
yeah.
They take a risk doing that because the reason for the closed practice is just like
To
some
keep
of
it
the
pure.
idiots that we've seen.
Yeah.
right,
You
right,
know,
right.
Where
Yeah.
where the creepy stuff at? Where's your satanic stuff? You know, it's not for that person.
No.
They're not ready for that yet.
Right.
They're
And
still in
we
their
can't,
child stage.
Then we can't turn you away
No.
because the hope is that you'll actually learn something.
Yeah.
If you go away with something and having had a conversation, then you'll actually grow and you'll see beyond that edgelordy shit.
But it's a double-edged
Becoming
sword,
human.
Right.
though,
Yeah.
because you either preserve your tradition by opening it, but when you do so, you open it to people that may
Are
do it a disservice,
destined to change
and then write a book, and
Yeah.
then we have what you were describing before, where it's a Chinese whispered tradition,
Yeah.
and it becomes so far from what it originally
What China
was.
do? What China do to you?
China, it's China,
China. And it's funny, but it's true, and that's just human nature.
and the TikToks.
You'll see that when you're going through doing a genealogy and you're picking up everybody's family Bibles, and you lay like 5 different, family Bibles side by side and see the differences in the stories.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has their own interpretation, and they're determined to push it, so they leave it for generations coming behind, and you're like, I was there. That's not how that happened.
That's all we want it to be remembered.
Yes, oh my God.
You can't talk about that other shit.
Yeah.
We're going to let that go.
But that's how this works, folks. That's how this religion thing works too.
Well,
It's the tradition.
If you look at like Santeria Lucami,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like any one of us can become initiated.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's kind of closed. It's closed,
Yeah.
but you're invited in. Now it takes
For
a
a
whole
cost.
huge community, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be like when you finally get initiated in, it's going to be a week-long celebration.
Yeah.
And guess who's footing the bill?
You are.
You are. And
To
the whole
tune of
community will come
thousands
out.
of dollars.
And they're gonna cook and they're gonna sing and they're gonna dance for days.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
Now you come in as kind of just sort of like a visitor.
Yeah.
You know, your initial initiation is like you're allowed to hang out.
Yeah.
It's like you're a biker. What
You're
do they
a
call them?
hang-around.
What do they
A
call
hang-around.
them?
Hang around.
Hang around.
Yeah. I'm the kind of guy that likes
And then
to hang around.
you can keep going and become more and more
Of a prospect.
Yeah.
a prospect. There
A
we go. That's the
prospect,
word
you're
I was
a
looking for.
prospect.
Yeah.
You don't get the third piece on the fist.
So
rocker,
right,
yeah.
but at that level,
Why do I know so much about this?
you can have all kinds
Been in
of
the life. Yeah.
wrong ideas in the beginning about Santeria Lucami. Even
Yeah.
it's like that new initiate. It's the prospect.
Yeah.
But no one's going to listen to you.
No.
Right?
No.
And so over time, as your initiations go, you're going to become more indoctrinated into that community. And because they have a strong community, and that's really what it is no central priests or anything. Like they protect their tradition that way. It's like you're not like coming in here for 7 weeks and getting initiated.
Yeah.
You know, that might get your foot in the door.
You're not a
But if you-
6-week Reiki master.
Right, exactly.
That kills
You know,
me.
you're the idea. It's kind of like how Europe has better drivers because you have to go to school for a long
Yes.
time. You have to pay money,
Yes.
and it's expensive.
You have skin in the game.
And it
Here,
should be.
it's anyone can get a license.
And I like the way that you describe that because they make sure you have skin in the game.
Yeah.
You're not just some casual looker
Yeah.
that
Right.
just wants to say you're
A
from
looky-loo. You ain't no
Santeria.
looky-loo.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you got to pony up.
Right. Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
many people will pony up unless they're serious about the path. And
Yeah.
then you're going to spend a few years as a peon.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
many people are going to want to be a peon for that length of time. You got
That's going to eliminate all of those
That's
flakes.
actually really
That's
smart.
That's why our covens were so small, because the peon got to buy everything for the rituals and do all the work, and then
yeah.
haul it off 2.5 miles back in the woods. Yeah, yeah.
You weren't
yeah,
even a
that's
neophyte
why.
yet. You're
Yeah.
not a neophyte yet.
Yeah.
Neophyte actually knows a little bit of something,
Yeah.
something. But
Yeah.
in the
You're just
beginning,
a
you were
pledge.
very much a hang around.
Yeah.
And here's this duffel bag. We're going to go up. Had to be a witch hill. Couldn't be a
Yes.
Presbyterian.
Yes.
Had to be a fucking witch in
And
the
it's-
middle of fucking December.
And it's probably got 10 7-day candles in it, all kinds of herbs,
Yeah, 'cause we're back there
lighter,
all
everything.
day.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
day.
Yeah,
And we pack out lunches. And you're carrying it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And half the
they
time
make
you
it
had to go
free.
buy the shit.
Yeah.
You know, so and back then in Michigan, that meant going to they didn't have a Picky Weeds. You had to
No.
go to 4 stores
Just to get all your
everything
ritual
you needed.
items.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of them was probably the Catholic store, too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no. What did we do?
We went to a farmer's market.
Yeah.
There was an herb store.
Yeah.
There was a co-op that we bought our herbs from.
Yeah.
There was a hippy dippy new age place that we bought the candles from. Yeah.
Grocery store.
Grocery
And we had to
store
go by the
for-
florist or go by Horrocks and get
Yeah,
some flowers.
depending on what
Yeah.
ritual it was, depending on where you had to go.
Yeah, and we had, and then there was food. So then you have the grocery store
And the
trip.
cooking.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you had to do it all.
Right. It takes a
we
weekend.
didn't charge anybody
Yeah.
any
A
money.
full weekend
Yeah.
for what would result in, what, a 3-hour
Yes.
ritual?
Well,
And you
the
better
ritual
have
itself,
fasted.
yeah, about
Yeah.
that. But it was
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
woods for quite a while.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
You have to
But-
go and you have to set up the fire and everything.
Plus you're
yeah.
fasting.
Yeah, you're fasting.
Yeah, we did a black fast.
So you're carrying this duffel bag on your back.
Empty.
And you've been
You're
black
empty.
fasting. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so
you're
the-
pretty high when you get there.
there was an exchange,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it wasn't financial. It was
No.
it was sweat.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
put time in.
Sweat equity, baby. Sweat
You
equity.
know.
Yeah.
But it get rid of the looky loos.
Yeah, it did.
Like, oh, we don't just do it in the living room.
No. No.
We just wanted to see. We just wanted to come see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And they do that all the time, and you're like,
No.
no, yeah, no.
that's not how this works.
You'll see it when you believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
That's pretty much it, too. It's pretty much it, too, for all of it.
Yeah.
What you just said, apropos. Because, yeah, you'll see it when you believe it. That means you believe it enough to put the work into it. And then I hate this fucking word.
Manifest.
For you.
Live, laugh, love.
Manifestation takes work, people. It takes actual work and diligence.
Yeah, there's spiritual work and then there's the physical
Yeah.
work too.
It's crazy. Yeah. Who wants to do that? You mean I can't just click it on the internet or
Can't get it on the Amazons.
You could do it without
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could.
Magic, but magic gets you to
Yeah.
do the work.
Yes, it does.
So ultimately, it comes down to you can pray, you can cast, you can light your candles, you can slay your goat, whatever the hell you do
Or you can
to meet that other person.
Yeah.
But unless you get your ass out there into the world
Yeah.
and do the work and put yourself, I don't know, wherever you're going to meet your person,
Yeah.
you're not going to do it at home.
No,
You're
you're
gonna
not.
do all the magic you want.
You gotta meet 'em halfway.
And,
Yeah.
you know, even that's self-work. You can light the
Yeah.
candles, you can say the prayers, the barbarous names, whatever. If you're not willing to be a better person
Yeah.
and maybe wake up earlier or go to bed earlier or stop drinking so much or willing to do the work.
Yes, put
Yeah.
the work in the body because the body is the
magic
temple. Yeah.
is really only getting us to do the work.
Yeah.
You know, it's if you like this kind of stuff, this kind of life might be for you.
Yeah.
If you can do the work without all the drama and rigmarole, then you're already an adept.
Hooray for you.
You don't need magic.
Yeah.
Because the drama's going to find you whether you want it to or not. I mean, it's,
Yes,
oh
yeah.
my God. It's
The test
crazy.
of this world.
Yeah.
Well, we
It's
should
crazy.
probably wrap it up. We're at almost an
But I'm
hour and
having,
20 minutes.
I'm having fun.
I know. Come on, let's keep going.
My God, why do we have to open? Come on. Yeah.
Well, you have people knocking on the door. What the hell? We're still talking. Shut up.
Yeah. Oh my God. You made some great points.
This was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I'm
It
so
was.
glad we did this.
It was very,
It was like
very nice.
sitting at the counter with
Yeah,
you guys.
that's
here.
the way we like it.
Yeah.
That's the way we like it. You never
I
know
think
what's
you're
going
gonna have to put a stool at the counter for me, though.
Yeah,
That's okay.
That's
I can do
awesome.
that.
You know.
Yeah, we can do that.
We have the technology.
I have a very high bar stool in the bathroom.
There
We
we
can just
go.
drag it out there. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in, Nathan. We appreciate it.
It's my
That
honor.
was awesome.
Thank you.
It's always
And
great. to
thank
have
you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. So
So we hope you enjoyed this episode of In the Weeds, and we hope you didn't have to pick too much pucker brush off your cloak after visiting with us here. If you liked the episode, please follow, subscribe, and share. And if you're really kind, leave a positive review. Be sure to tune in next week as we publish a new episode weekly. If you're in the area, stop by the store and see us. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.